Am I the a-hole for inviting my brother's ex-fling to Thanksgiving dinner and offending his GF? Am I the a-hole for stopping my ex from meeting our son and intentionally sabotaging my dad? Am I the a-hole for telling my neighbors their kids could not sled on my hill after they insisted on me not letting my dog outside while they're out there? Am I the a-hole for inviting my brother's ex-fling to Thanksgiving dinner and offending his GF? I hosted Thanksgiving this year for the first time in my house. Some backstory here, my brother used to be friends with that girl named Anya. They didn't dare, but they hooked up a couple of times. I love Anya and I always hoped that she and my brother would end up dating. I met her through him and I ended up having a good relationship with her. We're not that close, but occasionally we text and talk on the phone, and sometimes go out for some coffee once in a while. We had an inside joke about how she'd be my future sister-in-law because I'll make sure to set her up with my brother. My brother is now dating his girlfriend Sarah for around 3 years. He went NC with Anya 2 years ago because, according to him, Anya had disrespected his GF multiple times and was acting possessive of him. Once he told me that Anya told Sarah how I'm the future wife of your boyfriend, my brother apparently was offended with Anya's behavior and cut her off. I don't know if any of this is true and I don't care that much. I've kept in contact with Anya and she occasionally tells me how sad she is. Things turned out that way with my brother and I said that if I had the chance, I'd set them up, but I'm not sure it's easy to do that now. She says how she always wanted to be part of our family and she feels like she lost her spot to Sarah. I assured her that I still consider her family, even if she's not dating my brother, and I'll always love her more no matter what. So lately, Anya and I got closer and I invited her on my Thanksgiving dinner that my husband and I hosted to our house. When my brother found out Anya is invited, he went off on me and said I'm so disrespectful for inviting the girl who tried to break him and Sarah up, and how this is disrespectful to him, Sarah, and their relationship. He also claimed that I never gave a chance to Sarah and tried to get close to her because I'm so stuck on the idea of him dating Anya, which is creepy. I told him it's my house and I can invite whoever I want to there and don't need his permission. Anya and I get along perfectly fine and I don't care what she did to them. She'll always be the one that got away from my brother in my eyes. My brother said that he and his GF won't attend my Thanksgiving dinner, and they didn't. Anya still attended. My mom has sided with me and said that my brother and Sarah are acting like brats and they're toxic and insecure, but my husband and my father have told me I acted like TA and I should understand where Sarah and my brother come from.
YTA, for sure. Your own brother has told you that Anya is overbearing, rude and downright disrespectful to his long-term girlfriend, and yet you admit to not caring at all because you think they're destined to be together. On top of that, you haven't given Sarah a chance obviously. Imagine how that makes her feel. Both you and your mother are TAH in this situation. If you want to keep in contact with Anya, by all means, you do that, but after your brother's experiences with her, don't expect him to come along to family get-togethers that she's attending, or bring his girlfriend into that environment. You prioritized Anya over your family, you hurt him, and Sarah in the process, and you still disregard his current relationship because you want to force your friend into the family. YTA, a massive one. Yes, it's your dinner party, but if you want family there then you shouldn't invite a past fling to a family thing. Your brother showed you his boundaries and you overstepped them. Anya might be your friend, and you both wished she would be your future SIL, but please, get over it. It's been 3 years over. And 2 years without contact between them. Your brother chose Sarah, accept it or lose him. Anya isn't creep if she is still not over the fact, as your brother doesn't want her crazy ass, and read your text again, maybe you will see Anya's manipulative and toxic behavior, or maybe not because of how you react and handle the situation. You are clearly manipulative and toxic AF as well. Your mom too, toxic. Your brother and GF aren't insecure and toxic, they just don't accept your BS. Believe your dad and poor husband equals YTA. YTA. This is incredibly inappropriate. You can of course still be friends with Anya, although I think it's disrespectful and questionable as all hell that you're buddy-buddy with someone actively trying to implode your brother's happy 3-year-long relationship because they hooked up a handful of times. She sounds like she needs psychiatric help, not you enabling and encouraging her obsession with your brother. But what's really over the line is isolating your brother and barring him from attending family holidays by insisting upon inviting someone who makes him uncomfortable. I had an obsessive stalker neighbor, and if my brother insisted on inviting my stalker to family events because he's a cool guy and I like him, I would cut contact and never talk to him again. You're a bad sister. YTA, what the heck is wrong with you? Are you that selfish and arrogant? You put the selfish needs of this woman before your own brother and his reasons for going no contact with this girl. I get you're still friends, but Thanksgiving dinner is not the place to flaunt that around. I think you need to put yourself in your brother's shoes and think about someone who has truly hurt you deeply and how you would feel if your brother, knowing this history, forced you to have dinner with them. If I were your brother, not only would I not go to dinner, I would completely shut you out of my life for being so uncaring and disrespectful. But that won't bother you, you got Anya, and that's all that matters, right? Until she screws you over like she did with your brother. What goes around comes around. YTA. Don't lie, if you didn't have an agenda you would not have told your brother that in your eyes Anya is the one that got away. You are a creep and that Anya is a straight-up stalker. This is bordering on restraining order territory for your brother. She knew she was going to cause drama by showing up to that Thanksgiving. And you? Shame on you, you know damn well that you can maintain a close relationship with your friend while still respecting your actual blood brother. What is wrong with you? If he gets married to his girlfriend I would not be surprised if you don't get an invite. And I highly suspect you get this behavior from your mother because her reaction was ridiculous as well. Finally, you do realize that his girlfriend is going to hate your guts, right? Deservedly so. Your priorities are incredibly messed up. Please stop enabling a stalker at the expense of a relationship with your family. I just thought, do you have some sore spot when it comes to your brother? Because this seems like something a person would do out of anger or spite. Regardless, this is unacceptable on your part.
Am I the a-hole for stopping my ex from meeting our son and intentionally sabotaging my dad? My ex ended our engagement unexpectedly and I still don't know why. I was pregnant at the time and he completely disappeared. Nobody would tell me where he was despite our families being friends and having many mutual friends. Everyone kept claiming they had no idea where he was, which I know was a lie. Well, he decided to show his face again. My dad told me he would be coming to our house for dinner to discuss business and that he wanted to meet our son. At first, I was furious and I told him there was no way I would let him meet my son, but after many arguments, I pretended to give in. The day he was supposed to come, I took my son to a friend's house for the night. I wasn't planning to go back home for dinner because I didn't want to see my ex, but my friend suggested I go so that I knew what was being said. I don't regret going, but it was a shit show. My dad was pissed at me for hiding my son from my ex, and my ex was pissed at my dad for not being able to deliver what he promised. My ex was also pissed at me and claimed I couldn't keep him away from his son. I told him pigs would fly before I let him near my son. After my ex left, my dad threatened to kick me out for sabotaging things for the family, and he kept calling me a stupid girl and asking me why I couldn't just listen to him for once. My brother sided with him too, which surprised me because he always takes my side normally. Am I the a-hole?
My ex was also pissed at me and claimed I couldn't keep him away from his son. I'm sorry, but at the moment he is only OP's child's donor. After my ex left, my dad threatened to kick me out for sabotaging things for the family, and he kept calling me a stupid girl and asking me why I couldn't just listen to him for once. My brother sided with him too, which surprised me because he always takes my side normally. What is wrong with the both of them? Even if OP agrees for him to meet her son, it should be prepared. You don't just bring an unknown guy and say hey that's your father, especially when the guy proved he can bail at any time. First, he needs to give an explanation as to why he bailed too. OP needs to trust he won't bail again before being introduced to her child 3. If the first XO points are validated, they need to discuss his involvement, both emotionally and financially. And how to slowly introduce him to OP's child to not negatively impact him. The guy can't just decide to just meet this child by just stating he's his son when he's literally done nothing. I don't know what is wrong with OP's father and brother, but something is really off here. OP needs to get an explanation. NTA and your father and brother are really doing you wrong. This guy ghosted you when you were pregnant and didn't bother to show up again until after the child was born. He's terrible father material, terrible partner material, and is just generally an awful person. If both your father and brother are advocating on his behalf, they're not worth much to you right now either. Tell your father he's on his last chance with you and your child, because if you can't trust your own father to respect your wishes, you can't trust him to live in the same house as his grandchild. Which means you start looking for a new place to live. NTA. The child, however, is not yours and is not his dad's. He is both of yours. That boy has a right to know his dad, be loved and supported by both his parents. However, his dad doesn't have a right to suddenly appear in the boy's life. You do need to protect your son. But be warned, you risk huge problems if you just deny the boy his dad because of how you feel. Your son will learn his dad wanted to see him. Your son will want to know his dad. If he finds out, and he will find out that you stopped him seeing his dad, he may hate and resent you. That will drive him away, straight to his dad. However, he needs to prove he's back for good. Then he needs to meet the boy. Judges really don't like parental alienation. It causes parents to lose custody. Be careful. Info, you say in comments that his family have been involved with child since he was born, so you must have discussed why the boy's dad left. Depending on the reasoning why he left, you don't get to keep his son from him forever, and your son from his dad just because you can't stand him and what he did to you. Remember, one day your son may go looking for his dad, and if he finds out he tried, and you stopped him from having a relationship all these years, then yeah, the son will most likely resent you. Many women forget this, yet I know a lot of people this has happened to. Your ex needs to get a paternity test done, if he's not on birth certificate, and then go to court for access, assuming he isn't unstable etc. There is no reason he shouldn't see his son other than you now being spiteful. You need to get a lawyer to see where you stand, but the child is not a possession you get to keep forever because you don't like his dad. I still feel there is a lot you are not saying in this. Also, your comments about running away, I mean really, ESH. So your father is making a business deal with your ex, and part of what your father promised in pursuit of a business deal is access to his son, whose mother he walked out on without so much as an explanation. People on both sides are complicit in his disappearance, and all of them are withholding information from you. Absolutely NTA. See if you can stay at your friend's place for a while. Don't let your father kick you out. Take the initiative and move out on your own. I don't get the feeling you are in the US, so it may be more difficult to just do that, but getting out of that is going to be an important step. You should contact a lawyer and get some sort of child support imposed by the court. If he's not paying child support, he has no claim to meet the child or even know anything about him. Your father also has no right to bring you into this business negotiation without first explaining what happened to this deadbeat. Seems to me that people on both sides of the family owe you a lot, starting with explanations.
Am I the a-hole for telling my neighbors their kids could not sled on my hill after they insisted on me not letting my dog outside while they're out there? The house I recently moved into has a hill on the edge of the yard. I've talked to my neighbors a few times and they seemed like nice people. A couple days ago, we got our first real snowfall of the winter. My neighbors reached out to me and asked if I minded if their kids went sledding on the hill. They said that the previous owner of the house had let them use it, but they wanted to check with me. I hardly use the part of the yard and have no need for it when it's covered with more than a foot of snow, so I said sure. However, today they reached out again. They explained that they would like me to bring my dog inside while their kids are sledding because it makes them nervous. I told them that she was always tied up when she was outside and no danger to their kids. But they were welcome to keep their kids inside if they saw her out, and that if their kids were sledding, I would stay out with her. They said that since the bottom of the hill was on their land, I couldn't restrict their access to it, and that I was endangering their kids by letting my dog be outside unsupervised with them. I repeated what I said, and added that if they wanted to meet my dog, they could come over to meet her sometime. They just got more upset I wouldn't bring her inside and ended up threatening to call animal control on me for having an out-of-control dog. For reference, she's a maybe 40-pound older mixed breed who could probably not forge her way through the snow to where their kids are sledding, even if she wanted to. She just loves sitting out in the snow. I was very upset at this point and told them they could forget about their kids sledding on the hill and that if they're going to make unreasonable demands, they could not come on my property. They tried backtracking but ended up getting upset at me again. Now I'm wondering if I'm being the a-hole because I could just agree to their requests and bring her inside. Am I the a-hole?
NTA, your neighbors, on the other hand, are total A's. They wanted to use your land to entertain their children and then made demands that you inconvenience yourself and your dog so that they don't have to worry. If they are that worried, they can come over and watch their own kids as they use the hill you so graciously allowed them to use. The whole can't restrict their access to the bottom of the hill is malarkey. They are perfectly welcome to schlep around in the snow on the land that is at the bottom of the hill. You aren't preventing them from doing that. The threat to call animal control was a pretty ballsy move, all that, just so their kids could go sledding. I'm with you, if you don't like the dog, don't sled on my hill. And they better bring brownies, a bottle of wine and a sincere apology before asking again, otherwise, their kids may find themselves talking to a policeman about trespassing. NTA, OP you should look into your local laws and make sure you can't be sued if someone gets hurt on your property. You should also take some measures to protect yourself in case they use your property anyway. It sucks to have to be this cautious, but you can use just one step and add more if they use your yard anyway. My suggestions are no trespassing signs, a letter or email stating that they do not have permission to use your yard, along with proof of delivery. Keep a copy, a flagging tape fence, either wrapped around trees or stuck in the snow with wooden or wire stakes, security cameras. The fence is more, so they can't claim they didn't see the no trespassing signs, rather than physically preventing trespassing. It's also a lot harder to argue that you had permission when you have to remove a barrier first. Perhaps your house was on the market because of your neighbor's harassment. I would get my property surveyed if it hasn't been done already. You should have a copy of the survey. Then post your yard with no trespassing signs until you can fence it. Fencing is expensive, but you can build the fence little by little each year. Start with the property line on and around the hill. Check local codes to ensure that any fence you build is situated in relationship to the property line properly. Visit nurseries in the spring to find arborvitae and other dense evergreen plants to back up your fence or to become fencing, while you slowly add panels each year. If you install a gate, make sure it is always kept locked with a substantial lock. Eventually, these strong measures will keep your unreasonable neighbors at bay and they'll leave you alone. Meanwhile, your dog will be safe on your property and any future pets, and you will be able to enjoy your property. Consider a Ring doorbell and a night vision capable camera. Record any conversations with those neighbors. Make a strong effort to get to know your other neighbors without bringing up this dispute to establish that you are a good neighbor and decent person. This may seem like overkill, but a strong show of awareness now can save you a lot of grief and money later. You don't want to spend years waiting for the other shoes to drop. NTA. As long as your dog is on your land, they can't tell you what to do with the dog unless it's disrupting neighbors by barking all the time or legitimately threatening people's safety. If they want to sled on your land, they need to be okay with the condition your land comes in, including animals. You've gone out of your way to help them get comfortable with the dog. I think you've gone above and beyond already. Bringing your dog inside every time they want to sled is a step too far, especially if your dog is old and moving him is hard and he enjoys being outside. NTA. And if I were you, I'd be petty and order a physical survey to show them exactly where their property ends and yours begins. I'm sorry, but you can't restrict our access to the top of the hill because the bottom of the hill is on our property is absolute bullshit unless there's literally an easement on your parcel. Last time I checked, meaning right before I clocked out today after reviewing a survey for a pipeline easement, there's no such thing as a kid sledding dog free easement. Assholes. You granted them a favor. They went beyond and started making demands. You've offered mutually beneficial solutions, all of which they've rejected. You're well within your rights to say they're no longer welcome on your property.